you're back. Good. What can I help you with? Yes, my eyes on the harbor have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? It doesn't really matter, and I do apologize for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this. In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I am sure you understand.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries.
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West.
Since you are sharing land, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. They were dispatched after I relayed the Union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric, or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenell, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenell contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
It will be all of them. The decision is already made. Investigation upon investigation here in Martinez, racing towards some dark deadline.
Surely you're joking. These people are killers. My only hope is that yours provides a single, concrete suspect before they indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
The Debardeurs have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty.
The Serai's giant hornet, the world's second largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours.
These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. As I said, a bloodbath. Many bleak scenarios have already come true. Nameless, badgeless detective of the citizens' militia. All we can do is keep the rest from going the same way. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. If you mean did I see him alive? Yes, but I did not know him. Lely, his service name, a nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. One is a man, Corty, they call him, a nickname as well. The other a woman, Phyllis DePaul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator.
What would you say was his eye color, the deceased's?
She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face, then shakes her head.
I can't remember.
The lieutenant was testing her, asking a small detail first to see if she knew him better than she let on. She passed.
That's all right, man. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age?
He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age, or gauge his facial expressions.
What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it, through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell. They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman-Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
Meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors, Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
The International Collaboration Police, ICP, is charged with coordinating law enforcement activities in complex multinational investigations. Their database is the single largest source of information in the world.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, man?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenell. I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us.
She's being truthful. She is pressing them as hard as she can.
They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbor gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is keeping the peace.
That would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible.
Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a shortwave at the ship's wheel. I hope I can answer it better. Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. The remaining contractors, their tribunal, it's what they believe. That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place? And when?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor. about a rumor. In any case, it's what the Colonel's remaining colleagues believe. Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience.
They don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. It's a matter of days, not weeks. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask. You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare? Oh, come on now. He has his uses. How else would he have stayed in power all these years? Or wait, actually... corruption. That's how he's done it. Fantastic, Worm-like corruption, reaching into the bowels of the earth.
The position of my unusual colleague does not reflect official policy. I hope you understand. The RCM does not pick sides.
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt Worm myself. However, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be... gossiping.
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things. Tell her she'll like you for it.
Oh. That's so... helpful of him.
The lieutenant looks at you, and you can swear his jaw muscle is trembling.
Unconventional police officers sometimes lose their guns. They then go around and tell people about this, to gauge their reactions. It's all part of detecting.
Incredible. Simply incredible. And how is it going? Has this detecting produced a gun? Did he now? Well, then it should be any day now. Unless, of course, he's lying to you. Anyway, was there anything else you've heard?
Perhaps he is.
A referral, you mean? I take it this was for someone in the RCM. Don't answer that. Oh my. A real door.
The lieutenant does not say anything, but you hear the nylon of his jacket rustle as he looks at you.
My. What I'm hearing is... you inspected a premises because you suspected that it was involved in the narcotics trade. And, in the process, you turned up some information relevant to your investigation. Only from Efrat, surprisingly.
Her bartering mind cannot fathom that you didn't ask anything in return.
Frankly, what was done was not pretty at all, but neither was it illegal, and it was not for nothing. I advise you to be very selective with what information you choose to share. This may have consequences beyond our line of sight.
Misinformation. This is all because we haven't shared information on the lynching yet. See? Already the adversary uses it to their advantage. Don't let him. Hurry up on that probe. The moment you tell me you're finished at the traffic jam, I will gladly tell you the company's side of the story.
She must really want you to look into the drugs. Otherwise, she'd tell you.
How benevolent. Hopefully they'll help you sort this whole business out, if they haven't already.
While we appreciate your assistance, ma'am, I'm afraid we can't discuss the specifics of an ongoing investigation with you.
That is only fair. Well, I hope it yields something. Otherwise, you'll have opened that door for naught. Anything else? I wouldn't have taken Everard for a saber rattler. Was he surrounded by Union men he wanted to impress?
No, it was more like he wanted things to get worse. In secret, of course.
Or he wants you and me to believe he wants to go to war.
Of course, brinkmanship takes showmanship. We should have seen it before, in his office. He might well have been performing for us.
There's always that risk, ma'am. But if I may offer my opinion... He means it.
I'll think it over, Detective. Thank you for relaying this information to me.
Have I underestimated the Union's ferocity? She has to ask herself by now.
What you've said is quite enough. You've given me a lot to consider, and may have helped me prevent this conflict from escalating. Sounds like he has you running errands, Detective. A well-established dominance ritual. Where did he have you deliver it? Ah, yes. I've been meaning to go there.
With longing. Clear and simple longing. Strange. Why does she want to go there?
I should be. In my youth, I had a brief dalliance here in Martinez. He was an older man with impossibly broad shoulders. He's probably dead by now. Even his shack is long gone. Not that it matters. These buildings are all carbon copies of one another. Yes, I was slumming it with some girlfriends of mine. We had boats and... Don't hold it against me. My paramour certainly did not. Not overly so. It's not like this was the only place we visited. Me and my girlfriends from Azon with our shiny boats, like reavers. We told ourselves we were the worst thing to happen to the coast since the Coalition landed in '08. Imagine. A youth centre with Edgar Clare's statue on top of it. Go ahead. Help him. Make it so. I have no power to stop him. Yes. I'm sad I'll never have the time, Detective. I've always wanted a dilapidating fishing village.
She is more defensive about it than usual.
Full of ghosts and ancient memories. Has this errand yielded you any information? Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
What is all of this? The scent, the sound, the air.
What world? The only one, I suppose. The world of matter. And its pale antipode.
The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water.
Great bodies of water. Forest-covered surfaces. Clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough.
It must be. This is the greatest and the kindest arrangement the atoms had in them.
Indeed. There is a term of endearment they coined for it, in the DeLorean century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included. ELYSIUM. It does. There are those who would call it hell. A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petro-fascists. Oh, you want a picture of the world? There is no complete set yet, dear. They're having some trouble reaching orbit. Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside, sideways. We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the ORG nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s.
ORG, Occident Revichol-Grad.
There's a steadily increasing trickle of images. Between the big three scientific contributors, they're piecing together a dark grey corona. Yes. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs above entire isolas. The images are blurry, but if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago.
A cold fear seeps into you.
They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swathes of land disrupted by nothingness. I am sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the greatest questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound. I don't know about things of that scale. My expertise lies in nations and trade routes, one or several layers below everything. But yes, we'll be fine. Don't worry.
She does not seem convinced that you'll be fine. If anything, she's realizing how deep your condition runs.
You may have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it. But you already have. And you're doing just fine, despite the rubble.
The cold seeps into you. The air is heavy with 80% humidity. Suddenly, you're conscious of yourself standing there, on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides. The lieutenant observes you both, silently. He adjusts his glasses.
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time.
The smile of a predator. No doubt what she's got in mind.
The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
She likes the totality of it.
Indeed. They piled them in mass graves in Ozon. And, well, that's the last anyone heard of those people. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it. Yes, an acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. Exacerbated means made worse. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. Yes, King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing intra-species warfare. No, I would say the apes were neutral. On the other hand, maybe you're right.
It takes time for the apes to change and work. Perhaps what happened here was part of that time and part of that work.
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective, or the remaining gentry, the beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the Ultras, or Ultra-Liberals. They fared well. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention, the coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do. The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
A devout man of the center. Hard to come by. It's good to have someone who takes a moderate approach to head shooting. In your line of work, I mean. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end, nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
It was a funny time in history. They discovered transistors and rock music, but they didn't know anything about prions. Nobody did.
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control. A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the coalition of nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia. The Zone of Control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the Suzerain and the Commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
All that untaxed income must have fueled the new. That can only mean one thing.
Yes, and quantitative easing. It was a market mirage, unfortunately. The 40s dispelled it. An Isola-wide hangover, you might say. So, here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not. Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the king and led the Pines to doom. I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company. Good question. What would you have done differently? And I asked you, past-less detective of the citizens' militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
Here's some wisdom, lady. Say the death thing.
You and everyone else. But that's got nothing to do with preventing the revolution. Oh well. What was, I guess. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer. She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
It's sharp.
Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. We surrendered the nation to financier pirates. No sane person identifies as ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. I can see we're not so different, you know. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself.
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
That's a pity. I do hope we can remain collegial, despite it all. Tell me, when you look in the mirror, do you not see a monster staring back at you? When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed. With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in the rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean, lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracks.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake. Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isla down rather than let them have it. Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality? A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Half submerged in some salty sea. Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat. Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world. An infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
And what would that be?
She lets out an unrestrained laugh, the crow's feet stretching onto her cheeks.
My reality impaired colleague is not so far off. Many of the RCM's fashions, even weapon preferences, borrow heavily from classic Vespertine cop shows. My precinct alone has 3 officers who go by the name Ace. But please, do continue this reality exploration. I was just remarking.
Yes, let's. The Pale is not, technically speaking, part of reality.
Yes. Also, I think we've had enough excitement for today. Remember, we have a cadaver to attend to.
Of course, Lieutenant. Let's try something else.
Ma'am, remember you are dealing with a very sensitive and impressionable police officer who is still recovering from a recent medical episode.
The Lieutenant's right. Let's change topics. What do you want to know? Anything.
This is not going to happen with the lieutenant present, unless you can convince him to step aside. Is what you want to do. But should you? He expressly stated you shouldn't hear about it. What if it renders you mad? Or catatonic? Or makes you lose your memory again?
Yes? Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know.